You've grabbed one without thinking 1,000 times. A fold of fabric on a wire frame. This simple object has a history stretching back 3,000 years. And it didn't start with rain. The umbrella's ancestor was built for one thing, to cast shadow over the most powerful people on Earth. Stone carvings from ancient Egypt, dating to around 1100 BCE, show servants holding canopies over pharaohs. That sliver of shadow wasn't comfort. It was a declaration of divine status. The same instinct appeared across the ancient world, in Persia, the kingdoms of India, and beyond. The canopy held over a ruler was one of the clearest signs of sovereignty. Assyrian stone reliefs from around 800 BCE show kings beneath fringed parasols, even on the battlefield. Shade was so bound to power that it traveled to war. Thousands of miles away, Aztec rulers were sheltered beneath elaborate feathered canopies carried by attendants. Shade as power appeared independently across nearly every major ancient civilization. In ancient India, the parasol, the chhatra, became one of the sacred symbols of Buddhist tradition. It appeared above the Buddha in sculpture as an emblem of divine protection. Ancient China made the critical leap. Artisans began waterproofing parasols with lacquered paper and oiled silk. For the first time, one object could block both sun and rain. Chinese craftsmen developed a collapsible rib structure, a frame that folded shut and snapped open again. The basic engineering of your modern umbrella was solved over 1,000 years ago. But Europe largely ignored this. In ancient Greece and Rome, parasols existed, but carrying one as a man invited mockery. Roman writers called it a sign of weakness and vanity. After Rome fell, the parasol vanished from European daily life. For centuries, men simply got wet. Hats and cloaks were the answer. The umbrella was not yet a European idea. The parasol survived in Europe only in ceremony, held over popes and kings in formal processions, a ghost of its ancient symbolic role. Ritual, not shelter. Spectacle, not rain. In 17th century France, the parasol returned as a fashionable accessory for aristocratic women at court. It was decorative, expensive, and deliberately impractical. Practicality was never the point. Around the early 1600s, the word umbrella entered English from the Italian ombrella, rooted in the Latin umbra, meaning shadow. The name arrived in England long before the habit did. Now we arrive at the turning point. London, around 1750. The city is gray and relentless, and a man named Jonas Hanway steps into the street with an umbrella. Hanway was a merchant and philanthropist, born in 1712. He had traveled through Persia and Russia and had seen men carry rain protection there without shame. He returned to London, convinced there was no good reason Englishmen couldn't do the same. He began carrying an umbrella on his daily walks through the city's wet streets. The mockery was immediate. Coachmen shouted from their carriages. Sedan chair carriers, men whose trade depended on covered rides in the rain, jeered and cursed at him openly. This wasn't just social contempt. If gentlemen started carrying their own rain protection, the sedan chair trade would suffer. To the coachmen of London, Hanway was an economic threat. He carried his umbrella for roughly 30 years regardless. The harassment, by some accounts, never fully stopped, but he persisted, and eventually, slowly, other men began to follow. The debate played out in coffee houses and pamphlets. Some writers mocked him, others quietly noted he had a point. Rain, after all, fell on everyone equally. For a time, Londoners called umbrellas Hanways in his honor. The name didn't last, but the habit did. He had broken the social seal, and others picked up the object. Even so, the gender coding stayed tangled for decades. Umbrellas were still sold primarily to women. A man carrying one remained a mildly unusual sight well into the 1700s. There was a practical problem, too. Frames were made of cane or whalebone, covers were oiled canvas or silk. Umbrellas were heavy, expensive, and awkward. The object needed rebuilding. The answer came from a steel wire factory in Stocksbridge, near Sheffield. A manufacturer named Samuel Fox had a surplus of thin U-shaped wire, originally made for women's corset stays. The corset market had shifted. Fox needed a new use for his stock. He looked at the clumsy umbrella frames of the day and saw exactly where his wire could go. In 1852, Fox patented the Paragon frame, a steel-ribbed structure that was lighter, stronger, and far cheaper to produce than anything before it. A genuine engineering revolution. Within a generation, the umbrella went from a middle-class luxury to something nearly anyone could afford. Factories scaled up. Department stores stocked them by the thousand. It became ordinary. Then something unexpected happened. The tightly rolled black umbrella, carried under the arm, became the defining mark of the Victorian English gentleman. Not weakness, respectability. City lawyers, bankers, and civil servants adopted the black brolly as standard equipment. Cartoons depicted the archetypal Englishman clutching one. A full gender reversal in under a century. In Victorian England, how a man carried his umbrella became a mark of character. A tight, well-rolled brolly signaled propriety. A tatty one signaled the opposite. Standards were everything. Women, meanwhile, kept the lighter decorative parasol as a fashion accessory, a separate tradition running alongside the practical rain umbrella. Same engineering, entirely different cultural meaning. Through the latter half of the 1800s, the umbrella spread to every corner of the industrialized world. The United States, Japan, continental Europe, each absorbed and adapted it. Japan's tradition runs separately. The wagasa, made from bamboo and oiled washi paper, had its own unbroken lineage stretching back centuries, entirely independent of the European story. The next breakthrough came in 1928. German inventor Hans Haupt patented the first truly compact telescoping umbrella, the NURPS, a German word for a small child or fellow. It folded into a handbag. The NURPS changed how people related to rain. An umbrella was no longer something you planned to carry. It was something you simply had with you, always, just in case. After the Second World War, nylon replaced silk and canvas as the standard umbrella cover, cheaper, lighter, and faster to dry. Another quiet reinvention, this time at the fabric level. Today, umbrellas are among the most commonly misplaced objects in the world. London's transport network recovers tens of thousands each year. Cheapness makes abandonment easy and replacement just as easy. Most of us have owned one with a broken rib we never fixed, another that vanished on a commute, a third that appeared from nowhere. We half own umbrellas. By some estimates, over 1 billion umbrellas are manufactured worldwide each year. Most are cheap, most will break, and most will eventually be left somewhere in the rain. The cycle continues. Fine umbrella makers still exist in London, in Florence, in Kyoto, hand-rolling frames, selecting silk covers. Some workshops trace their methods directly to the Fox frame era. The gender story has dissolved entirely. Once a symbol of female luxury, then of male respectability, then a battleground, today an umbrella belongs to whoever is standing in the rain. Think about what that object is actually carrying. 3,000 years of ingenuity. Pharaohs and their servants. Chinese craftsmen waterproofing silk. A stubborn merchant absorbing 30 years of street mockery. A Yorkshire manufacturer who looked at surplus steel wire and saw a solution to a problem people had ignored for centuries. This is how ordinary objects get quietly reinvented. The one by your door, broken or borrowed, descends from all of that. A canopy in ancient Nineveh, a lacquered parasol in Song Dynasty China, a rain-soaked London street. This is the secret of ordinary objects. They are never really ordinary. Every tool you reach for without thinking was once someone's radical idea and someone else's punchline. It crossed deserts in the hands of servants, sailed through centuries of ceremony, survived Roman contempt, English mockery, and the indignity of being left on a train. Then it was yours. This is Origins. Subscribe and come back tomorrow. There's a new origin every single morning.